Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's me, Mitch. And here I am, dumbfounded, absolutely dumbfounded, and confused, and conflicted. And we'll talk about it. And we'll talk about it for right now, my friends, for right now. I don't know about you, but I think I need this. Drink it if you got it. And I'm drinking out of my Kilt's cup this morning. Wow, wow, wow. All kinds of stuff going on this morning. I'm looking at the chat. Everybody's happy for Aaron. What did Aaron do? I've been I haven't been paying attention to the news, I guess. Well, we'll wait for some people to come in. And I gotta tell you, my friends, I gotta tell you, so get ready for it. Get ready for it. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to call my good friend. Yes, sir. This morning. For inspiration and how to talk about. Now you're all wondering, what the hell is wrong? Well, nothing's really wrong. Nothing's really wrong. But I just don't know how. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to try to make this point. A point that my entire channel is based on. A philosophy and a psychology that my entire view of carnivore and why I do carnivore and why I have to continue to do carnivore, and why I can't cheat, and why I can't fall back into all those same friggin' habits that made me so sick in the first place. Subtle things. Why my addiction is so strong. My addiction is so powerful. My addiction has so much control over me. That as strong an individual as I think I am, and I think when it comes to guts, fortitude, conviction, I'm up there at the top. But when it comes to allowing my subconscious mind to take complete control of my body and my conscious thinking and guide my actions when it comes to food, I am totally out of control. And the reason that I see... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Are you still there? Yep. Okay. All right. I need you, buddy. I need you this morning. I really need you. The reason that I've been able to succeed on carnivore, the reason that I was able to come back from the brink of the standard American diet after just 3 weeks in a hospital and their forced reintroduction of sugar into my life, again, I had to exercise tremendous self-control. After these past few months of everybody else in the carnivore community, without fail, falling prey to their uncontrollable actions based on their subconscious minds wanting the sugar back. They want their sugar back. Your subconscious mind, I don't care how long you've been carnivore, wants its sugar back. After watching Lisa, wait a minute. After watching all of these people coming up with the most lame excuses why it's okay for you to eat carbs and other people eat a small amount of carbs, I may as well be talking to a bunch of alcoholics here trying to talk themselves into having 1 drink a week. How do you talk somebody into having 1 drink a week? You start conversations like this. Remember when we used to go to the bar? Remember how much fun we used to have? Remember how after you had a drink or two, the stress, and you stopped worrying about stuff and you could act silly? Remember that? Is it really a reason why after 3 years of no alcohol, we're not fixed and we can't go back and add a little bit in? Come on, you remember how great it was. Remember how great it was sitting in the stands at a football game? Remember that? Don't you miss that? Well, let me tell you what I did. I went on friggin' vacation. And I ate this, and I ate that, and I ate the other thing, and it was great, and it was so great, and the chef made the most exquisite food for me. Let's talk about ways we can add some of this back in now. And everybody in the audience, their mouth's starting to water. All the carb addicts that finally fought the battle and managed to cure their friggin' addiction, like me, is sitting there in front of the TV saying, oh man, that sounds great. And my subconscious is going, yay, yay, let me give you some lame excuses why it'll be okay for you to fall off the wagon. After years of finally getting to the point where those thoughts no longer entered my mind, those desires for all of those other foods. And George, you all know what I'm talking about, who saw Kilts this morning. George, I love you, man. That's great. But to talk about why it's so okay to add mushrooms, what I say is you finally got to the point where you can live without the carbs. You're an addict. You can only fail if you stay down that road. And you know how I love all those guys. And I watch, that's why we don't watch cooking channels on TV. That's why we don't watch Gordon Ramsay. We don't watch people tell us how to make delicious foods, because our subconscious is going to want us to eat delicious foods to get its sugar. And we will not be, guilt just texted me, we will not be happy. We will not be happy. And what I'm saying is nothing against my brother Kilsey. I'm like a father, and I'm just trying to caution people that learn the meaning of the phrase slippery slope. slippery slope. It's very possible that if you can keep it in context and you're not so addicted that you can control it, I think that's great. But this is my opinion too, and don't get me wrong, I'm not finding fault with anybody. All of us have the greatest of intentions here. But I know that every time my subconscious mind says it's okay for you to eat ice cream and I try a little bit, it never ends well. Or a blueberry. And I've said so many times, if you're not a carb addict, do whatever you want. But I think every other human being on the planet underestimates wildly the percentage of us that are addicted to these carbs because we have been systematically and scientifically addicted to these things by some of the top scientists in the country who work for the food companies and drug companies, and that's why we're in this mess that we're in now. That's why when I start to get little demons and little devils on my shoulder saying, it's okay, man, you can do this just a little bit. I know, because I keep falling for it. And it's like Linus and Lucy, or Lucy and Charlie Brown and the football. Lucy are the carbohydrates. Charlie Brown is addicted. Lucy puts the football on the ground and says, I promise, Charlie Brown, I promise, this time I will not pull the football away. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. You'll be able to kick it and you'll enjoy the kick. Come on, Charlie Brown. And Charlie Brown says, no, I've fallen for that 100 times before. But this time, Charlie Brown, is going to be different. This time, I'm not going to pull the football out from under your ass. So Charlie Brown says, okay. And he runs, and just before he kicks it, Lucy pulls the football out and starts laughing at him and says, I can't believe you fell for that again. Well, Lucy is your subconscious mind trying to get you to eat sugar, because it's addicted as hell. And we keep pulling for it because we really want to kick that football. We've wanted to kick that. We just get so much pleasure out of kicking that football. And that's the truth as I see it. And I think there's enough evidence out there to show that I'm right. I'm right by the absolutely phenomenal failure rate of those people who try to change their lives, and why we still number in the tenths of a % of the population of the American public, even though every friggin' one of them wants to lose weight, wants to get healthy, following all the advice, working their asses off in the gym, eating healthy foods like foul-tasting green spinach smoothies, because somebody told them that they want to be healthy. They do those things. And all the time, they're being cheered on by their addiction and getting sick and dying. That's the reality. And it's so simple and so obvious. Your addiction will not let you get that message. Just like the corrupt media will not let us get the message about what's really going on in politics in our country. It's the cleverest narrator of all, my friends, in getting messages to you that prompt you to action is your subconscious mind. And you all think that you are in control of it. Wake up. Wake up. Thank you, Rant Man. I hope I didn't really hurt anybody's feelings with that. But we're treading on black ice. And whether it's to make videos, to get YouTube, to get views, or whatever reason, we're treading on black ice when we, in any way, and here's the mindset that I try to use to stay on track, because I have to fight these things as hard or harder than anybody. When I do simple carnivore, remember, all this advice is only for carb addicts. You're not a carb addict. I envy you. Good luck. Have fun. If I can just help the carb addicts, I'm helping the majority anyway, even if you don't know it. Why do you think you can't talk your relatives into this? They're carb addicts. Why do you think your neighbors think you're stupid? They're carb addicts. Nobody wants you to let you take their tasty food away from them. They don't want to give it up. That's why all these stuff we're doing ain't going to make any big mass difference. Because even if the government came out tomorrow and said, hey, carbs are killing you, you got to stop eating them, who you think they'd stop eating them? They haven't stopped drinking. They haven't stopped using drugs. Have they? No. They will not stop. They're addicts. And that's who I'm trying to help, because I think that's the only way to make any bigger change. Now, getting the word out and all that. But what good is it for all of we carnivores to keep having miraculous improvements and then going under the philosophy that, well, I'm strict carnivore. I heard it coming out of their mouths this morning. I heard them negotiating with their addictions. I heard them real time, negotiating as if they were thinking rationally. You cannot negotiate with your addiction. You'll lose. You'll lose. And I say, stop. I got to the point. I'm sorry. Kiltsy, I love you so much. But this is such a dangerous, and he may never talk to me again after this, but it's such a dangerous road to explore for addicts. And you don't see alcoholics doing it. You don't see people stand up in front of an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting and say, remember when it was so much fun to go to the bar and how great that beer tastes? Remember that? Don't you miss that? You've been sober for 3 years now. Maybe you can start adding a little of that alcohol back in. You'd think that was the most absurd thing in the world, because alcoholics understand the power of addiction and their lack of control. Carbohydrate addicts don't. And the best thing we can do in our community to help people that want to help themselves is spend 90% of our time talking about carbohydrate addiction, how it works, how it uses you, how it manipulates you, how it fools you, how it negotiates with you, how it gets its way almost 100% of the time, how if you give it a taste, you're done. Talk about slippery slopes. I try that so much. I talk about the psychology and the subconscious mind and where it came from, and ancient survival mechanisms that only favored those people that were easily controlled by their subconscious mind. Could be manipulated into doing dangerous things like going out and hunting big, dangerous animals so they could eat. That's the programming we run on, and we're all subject to it. And it takes a deep, thorough understanding of the physiology and evolutionary biology of how we got all of these behaviors, and nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. They want to hear how to make keto pancakes, for God's sakes. The word pancake should never, ever be used in a carnivore discussion. The word pancake itself has addictive tendencies, brings thoughts to mind. Even if the pancake has absolutely no carbohydrates, it is made of 100%. If you watch Ken Berry's and Kelly Hogan's interview the other day, that's the first time I ever heard two carnivores say, don't ever stray. You can't add this stuff back. They talked about addiction. They talked about how both of them could not stop eating these carnivore treats. They were honest. You can't. Even if they have no carbs, they have a taste, they have pleasure, they have mouthfeel, they have crunch, they have things that will bring back memories and wake up your addiction. If you want to stay carnivore, stop listening to this. I'm guilty too. Doesn't take very long even for me to go, ooh, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that's the way I can have more tasty food. We have to stop. We have to stop. Stop looking to, this is a thing I finally figured out. We have to stop looking to food, eating, and dining as a source of either pleasure or entertainment. That sounds kind of draconian, doesn't it? We have got to stop. We got to take food out of the category of places we go for entertainment, for pleasure, for comfort, for satisfaction. You can get to that point by being a carnivore for a while. And once you get to that point, you have achieved food freedom. We all talk about food freedom. We all talk about, I'm not looking at the chat, I imagine it's going crazy here. We're all talking about, oh, Kiltsy's here. Keeping us weak is a message. Yes, Kiltsy, I wanted to slap you this morning, brother. I love you like a brother. But I wanted to slap you and say, shut up about the Four Seasons, will you? You're making me drool. You're making my mouth water. You're making me hungry. And I know you and I have the understanding of this, that when we say once in a while is okay, we mean once in a while, like once every couple of months. But our addiction goes, oh, I was just getting my hopes up when you brought reality back into it. Well, if you have the power to be a realist like that, that's fine. But there are so many of us like me that are so helpless. I can't even do your ice cream, my friend. I can't even do that. I tried. It just sabotaged me completely. So I don't think we're doing ourselves any great service by figuring out how we can start to add pleasure and satisfaction and entertainment back into anything associated with food. That's a slippery slope. I had to, honest to God, first time, my friend, and it breaks my heart to say this. First time I had to, I couldn't watch it. I shut it off. I watched it for half an hour, and then I watched it the last 10 minutes, and it was still going. And I like George, and I like everybody, and I love everybody here, and I love you all. And I feel like today, I feel like a father who sees his kids misbehaving, understands that they're kids, understands the whys that they're going down these roads, and is trying to figure out a way to tell them, how do I bring them back to the real world without making them hate me? And it ain't easy. And that's why I was so confused and so perplexed when I first started this little rant. I don't think it's a good idea to be looking for ways to undo all of the great physiological changes that we made by sticking to this by gaining the mindset of food freedom and then trying to figure out a way to get back in jail. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. And if you're not a carb addict or a big-time carb addict like Kelly Hogan, Dante Ferrigno, and most of the other people who went on carnivore in the first place, if you think you're still not that carb addict, even though you have gained food freedom, it will make your head spin how fast you fall back into the sugar bowl. The diabetes is back, the insulin is back, the joint pain is back, the brain fog is back. Figure out a way to be repulsed by food. And it'll be much easier. But so much of our culture and society, not as our culture, cultures throughout time have been built around food. And ceremonies built around food. Celebrations built around, everything's built around food. And the smart marketing people, lawyers, and food scientists of the food companies know this and have refined a way to use it as propaganda to put you in a position where you can't resist. And that's where we are now, and that's why we're not making any big changes. And we need to keep, as a small, tiny little community of people who have finally got our health back and finally figured it out, we need to keep reminding ourselves, that we got into this great situation we're in by diminishing the importance of food to us, diminishing this celebration around food, diminishing the pleasure associated with the food, to the point where food was like gasoline. It's fuel. And then we actually became, amazing, I never thought it would happen, but we actually, because of that, could reduce our variety of foods down to next to nothing. I could live on a hamburger and eggs and be perfectly satisfied. I do, as a matter of fact. I try to make recipes that make them better. I wish I didn't even have to do that. I wish I could tell people, just, you know, you don't even need to go shopping. Just buy frozen burger patties and a few eggs, and you don't need much more than that. And just cook them any way you like. Who cares? But we still know that there's so much desire. That's why the carnivore recipe videos are my best videos. So, am I guilty? Yes, I'm guilty. The same thing. I make a video because I know it's going to make me popular and get views, but am I really helping anybody if I make food more attractive, pleasurable, celebratory? I mean, maybe the biggest favor I can do everybody is quit YouTube. That won't help anything because all the other people will still be out there figuring out ways to tempt your subconscious into falling off the diet that they're promoting. It's absurd. It's absurd. Can you sense my frustration? And Kiltsy, do you still love me? Do you love me? Tell me you love me, Kilts. I know you're participating in here. And you know how I feel about you, and you know that I just see these things happening. That's the kind of observational skills that I have, and I see people. I keep making mistakes, and I follow these things. Peter, wow, this is an epic and all-time Mitch rant. Outstanding stuff. Lola says, this is not Kilts. Isn't that Kilts in here? Robert Kilts, MD? Who is that? Is that not Robert Kilts? The real Robert Kilts? Or is that a troll? Let's see. Go to channel. No, that's right. That's Kelsey. That's Kelsey's channel. 87,200 subscribers. Yes, sir. There it is. I just told YouTube, go to that channel. Now, if that wasn't Kilt's, it wouldn't go to Kilt's channel. It would go to whatever the troll channel was, no matter what he called himself. So, yeah, Kilt's here. Having fun always, Kilt says. This is Dr. Kilt's for sure. Yeah, yeah. At any rate, friends, I've done it. I've ranted enough. I think we have to be very careful about what we suggest and how we state things when we're talking to people that are addicted, because their subconscious minds will start negotiating, lame excuses why, yeah, I could do that. And that's how all these things, all good things, come to an end. I'm getting a bunch of texts. Let me take a look and see. Yeah. Annette bought me a coffee. Yes, somebody bought me a coffee this morning. Thank you, Annette. Annette AP, thank you so much. She's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. And what else did I get? Any more texts? Okay. Oh, man. I hope you're enjoying your vacation, my friend. I wish I could take a vacation. In Lisbon, watching my brother. Oh. Okay. Enough of that. You get the point. You get the point I'm trying to make. I've said it many times, and I keep saying it again. I don't think it's very smart. And there may be a scientific reason why flexing and adding carbs, but for those of us that are strict carnivores and have tried many times, we know that that can only have the wrong result in the end. And we'll lose all the gains we made. And if you're absolutely satisfied without deriving pleasure in your life from food, social events in your life from food, it's tougher to have a very fulfilling life in our society and culture, but maybe that's a sacrifice we have to make. And I still am trying to find out the actual science behind all of this shit that says it's actually better for you to add a few carbs. And I'm tired of going through this Pulse Aldino stuff and honey and carbs. Honey is sugar. People talk like you're missing some essential nutrient if you don't eat honey. I've never eaten a drop of honey in my life. Everybody's motives. Everybody's got different motives, different agendas, different bullshit, different propaganda. They're all selling it to us, all coming at us from every different direction. And so if you find something that works for you, that where you can live your life without feeling like you're missing out, which is finally where I got to with food, which is why I came on YouTube in the first place, to tell the world. If you finally found that, enjoy it. Enjoy the food freedom. Don't keep looking for ways to go backwards. I always say, everybody thinks change is good. You think change is good? I changed from before the stroke to after the stroke. That was a major change. Was that good? Keep your changes, will you? Things are going along great. Sometimes stop trying to change things that aren't broken. And I think most of you probably agree with me. And I think if I go back and read the comments, I would find out that that you do. I would like to see more carnivore content talking about the subtleties of addiction, the physiology of addiction, the reasons for addiction. But that's not a sexy subject for most people. They don't want to hear that. Their addiction certainly doesn't want to hear that. Their addiction wants to see recipes for carnivore chocolate chip cookies. That's my point. That's my point. It doesn't sell. And people don't manufacture things or do things that doesn't sell. Hollywood doesn't renew TV series for another season if nobody's watching. So we will continue. I can't change it. We will continue to be a society of people who only do what's pleasurable and popular and ignore the rest. It's a conundrum. It really is. All right, let me just go to 7 o'clock here on the chat and congratulate the people that got here right at the first one. And this morning, look at this, we had Brian Dish. Hiya, Brian. Robbie Archie was right before him. Jeff Strevslike was right after him, followed closely by heels. This is a real photo finish, my friends. A photo finish. I can't believe I only burned up a half an hour in that rant. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. I hope I didn't overdo it, man. I hope I didn't offend any of my really good friends. But, again, that's my Paul Revere hat. Speeding on a horse through town, yelling, warning, warning, warning. And there's a chance I could be wrong and overdoing it too, but I know, and unless I'm the most carbohydrate addicted human being on the planet, and the only one who is affected by this kind of stuff, I don't think I'm wrong. Unless all those 99.9% of people who have tried and failed. I mean, think about this. How many carnivores, people that are pure carnivore that aren't cheating, keto, not real major carb addicts, not having any luck, it's not working for me. How many of them are there? Who are deluding themselves that they're really following it and aren't noticing the pitfalls that they're falling into, like the incredible amount of added sugar in the foods they're eating that they think are carnivore, just flat out doing it wrong. Those carnivores who are still, and I'm talking about new carnivores, less than a year, those carnivores who are still convinced that fat makes you fat and then you can exercise away weight, that continue to eat what they've been taught all their life, lower fat and smaller amounts of food, and increase the exercise, and they fail on carnivore. Of all the people who claim to be carnivores, who are subscribers to all these big carnivore YouTubers, how many people really are in the groove? Ken Berry says, there's probably 1 million people. Okay? Bullshit. There aren't 1 million people out there who can say they flat out do not eat plants, do not eat sugar, eat a high-fat, moderate protein diet with 0 carbs, have been doing so for a year, 2, 3, have cured their diseases, and they're not coming back. Kelsey says, I am addicted to Old Guy Carnivore. Oh, man. Everybody should have friends like that. You know how you know somebody's a good friend? A really good friend. Oh, I mean, and I hope Kelsey, I hope you and I are in this. I think we are. But I know that if you disagree with something I did, you would know that you'd come and tell me that maybe that wasn't a good idea. And I would thank you for it, not get mad at you. And I hope my little criticism of the direction of the conversation this morning, I hope you take it the same way. And I may be wrong, too. Because that's the problem. You and I, Kilts, no, we can control it. We've done it. We control whatever we do. And even a little experimenting is not going to ruin our lives and kill us. And sometimes we may talk about that and forget that maybe most of the people that listen to us, they're a little more fragile in how firm they are, and they haven't been doing it long enough yet. I got a comment. Now that you're listening, Kills, I got a comment, and I wanted to talk about this morning too on my video about I took my little walk yesterday. And thank you all so much for just the enormous number of encouraging and heartwarming comments on that. Thank you so much. It wasn't any big deal. I didn't walk far enough in that whole walk to actually walk into Sam's Club, get to the meat department, and walk back again. It was not that big a deal. But for me, after what I've been through for the past 7 months, it was a monumental achievement. And I'm watching the video. And I'm criticizing myself. Hey, Mark C., 5 Old Guy memberships. Thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. Tonight is the private community live stream, 7 o'clock, lest I forget to mention it. I'm watching that video, and instead of being triumphant in the moment, I'm saying, oh, Mitch, you gotta consciously work on making sure your right arm is hanging down at your side, not up like this, because that's what happens when you try to regain balance. Your arms are always out there, ready to grab onto something or help you regain your balance. And it's a reflex. You don't think about it. You have to. That's why relearning this stuff is so hard. You have to consciously think. Extend your arm. Let it hang down. Let it swing naturally. I watch my gait. Am I limping? Because that's another thing about recovering from a stroke is it affects your walk and your movements and your gait so much that most people will never recover from it because it affects your joints after months and months or even years. You never can walk. So you have to consciously, when I use my right foot, think about lifting my foot up as I extend my leg forward. That's a natural movement. But when your brain lost its connection to that program, and you have to reprogram the brain, you have to consciously give it clues. So when I put my right foot forward, I have to think about the heel-toe aspect of walking, the arm at the side. So that was educational for me to videotape myself. And the good news was I had that 360-degree camera that lets me see my whole, it's out there enough where I can get my whole body in it. I can actually not just see my head, but I can see myself walking almost like I have a drone flying in front of me. But that was great. That was great. I was on a point when I started talking about that and went off onto something else. Sorry about that. But I was saying that I think I remember what I was saying. Well, let's get back to you guys. I don't know how many questions I'm going to answer this morning. I had so much on my mind this morning to say. I hope it's been even a slight little bit coherent in my thoughts. If nothing else that you can take away from this is that I'm pretty sure I know what the pitfalls are, and it just makes me crazy when I see them. And I think we need to spend more time talking about this addiction thing, even though it doesn't have the drama in it. And it doesn't give our subconscious hope that pretty soon we'll give up this carnivore crap and start feeding it sugar again. Because it wants its sugar, and it's reminded every day, all day, everywhere you turn, you see people eating what you used to eat, getting pleasure from it, having fun. It'd be like an alcoholic living full-time, 24/7, in a bar with people partying and drinking all around him. That's what our life is like after we get off of carbs. We are living in a bar full of addicts, celebrating morning to night, and we can't. You finally get over that when you get off the carbs. Your body finally gets the message that it doesn't need that stuff. That's why it's so hard to be a carnivore in a house full of people eating shit in front of you all day. It's so hard in our society to even go out to eat or to any social event without being tempted. Food has become a huge industry. Fine dining. None of that ever existed 20,000 years ago. There was no such thing. I guarantee you. Mrs. Cave Woman didn't stand there garnishing the food, arranging it and putting a little bit of parsley around it, trying to turn it into artwork before she put it in front of Mr. Caveman. Mr. Caveman grabbed on to the bone, pulled it out of the fire, and started eating it. And we were better off then. I think that might be the allure of barbecue. Why people like to cook around a grill. It's a caveman instinct. Takes us back to different days. But the difference then, they didn't have barbecue rubs full of sugar. We have, in our infinite intelligence and wisdom, figure out ways to pollute virtually everything in our lives, and we're suffering for it. T-Pain Golf question, what if I'm not hungry? How long can one go OMAD or fast? Feels weird not eating. Well, that's conditioning. Just ask Nelson how long you can go without eating. There's people who have done. You can go without eating until all your fat is gone, and you have 0% body fat, and your own body's starting to cannibalize its own muscle, and you still won't die. You still won't die. The psychology of it, and how you feel, is a different story. But the truth of it is, and the fact of it is, you Kathy, how long ago did Mrs. Caveman discover the coffee bean? Well, that's true. Coffee is something that's new too. Are you chastising me for drinking coffee? I can't live in this world today without having gotten some habits that are part of our society. I've given up almost all of them, but I don't see any reason to give this up. That's all. It's up to you. I don't tell anybody to drink coffee. And the people who like coffee are coming up with videos telling you why it's good for you. The people who don't want to drink coffee and hold the fact that I don't drink coffee, I'm better than you. I have my ribbon on that says I don't drink coffee. Shame on you. Those arrogant people, egotistical people who want to always say how great they are because they don't do something that you do, and I'm better, and that's most people on the planet. They make videos about why coffee's going to kill you. Meanwhile, the oldest people I know on the planet Earth drink coffee and smoke cigarettes, many of them. And certainly the oldest people I know today, the ones that smoke cigars. So I'm here to tell you that you all ought to smoke cigars. No, strike that. I'm sorry. Don't banish me from YouTube for that. We take this to the most ridiculous extremes. And that's why I do agree with Kelsey and those people that if you happen to eat a salad because you just put in a position where you just wanted it, and maybe you weren't happy about it afterwards, because that's the problem when we give in to our addictions. It's always followed by the guilt. Always followed by the guilt. When's the last time you gave in to your addiction where when you were finally satisfied, you weren't ashamed of yourself and guilty and said to yourself, what the hell was I thinking? Eating a quart of ice cream. That's proof positive how out of control we are, how we have no control, how we were never meant to have control, how the reason that we lose control was necessary for us to do the dangerous things that helped us survive. And if we weren't that way, we would not be here. And now we're trying to change that. Now we're trying to fight those ancient behaviors that ensured that only the living things with those actually were selected and not deselected and went extinct. It's simple logic. So accept the reality, the fact that you are controlled by your addictions for reasons that are not in your control. And the only thing that we have ever found that works is a way to change our body's physiology so our subconscious mind finally learns over time that it's not going to die tomorrow if it doesn't get sugar. And we finally learn that. And then what do we do when we're finally let off the hook? We finally have food freedom and we finally can live without cravings and addictions and feeling deprived. Never be hungry. Watching our weight gone down. Improving our health. We start listening to people tell us, that's going to kill you. Your cholesterol is going to go up. And all the other propaganda that is generated by the people that want us to start buying their drugs and food again. Don't want to see us independent and free. And since if we get a taste of that stuff, they know our addiction is going to fire up and it's going to make us want that stuff again, that they pull us right back in. And remember the scene never forget the scene from The Godfather, and always apply this. I need to get a video clip of that. And if you don't remember from The Godfather, remember it from The Sopranos, when Silvio used to reenact this scene from The Godfather for all the other goombobs who would laugh. And that scene was where I think it was Al Pacino's character says, just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in. Never forget that. That should be the Carnivore's motto. They are pulling you back in from every direction. The well-meaning people out there who make the videos, who deep down in their heart and soul are trying to help you by tempting you with tastier foods, more pleasurable foods, making food an event instead of just a necessity again after you finally got to the point. And then using scare tactics like, well, your biochemistry and your pathways are going to shut down, and your blood sugar is going to go up a little bit, and your cholesterol is going to go up, and we all know that these things. Maybe it's normal. Maybe if you become a carnivore and you become appropriately metabolic, maybe that's where your blood sugar is supposed to be. Maybe your cholesterol is supposed to be at 400 if you're lean. Maybe if your cholesterol is too low, you'll start losing your mind like most of the other people your age and be in a nursing home with dementia because you don't have, maybe you won't recover from your stroke as fast as I recovered from mine, or I'm recovering from mine, because you are starving your brain from the two things it needs to rebuild itself: fat and cholesterol. You're on a low-fat diet taking statins. How the hell are you ever going to recover from a stroke? Your brain is done. It's nursing home for you. I think we can pretty well assume that that's true now. There's enough evidence. But that's not getting you to dive back into that bowl of Doritos. So that's not good enough. Good enough for the drug and food companies. They don't want you to. You know, I get a lot of comments. I get so many comments. I get comments that say, what does your doctor think, Mitch? What does your doctor think, Mitch? What'd your doctor say when you told him that? How's your doctor feel about your recovery? As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a doctor. I don't have a doctor. Somebody said to me, Mitch, who's your doctor? I don't have a doctor. I don't want to have a doctor. Every time I took any advice from a doctor, I ended up worse off. If I have an emergency or I break something, yeah, I'll need a doctor. I'll find one at the emergency room. They're as good as any others. Maybe better, because maybe it'll be younger. I have the VA, and I have a nurse practitioner who is at the VA who's considered my primary care physician. I never have taken any advice from her. I never will. She's a contractor. I go in and I say, I want this blood test. I'll see if they'll approve it. Okay, thank you. They never have been able to help me with anything I had. I get my x-rays, my imaging, my lab tests. I have a physical once a year, basically to keep myself on the books. Every year I go in for the physical. I lecture her for it as long as until I begin to think I've changed her mind. So she listens to me like a student listens to a teacher, and then she'll, at the end of the thing, they'll come knocking on the door and tell her she's got people waiting. Okay. But she sit there and listen to me all day. She's a smart woman. She doesn't give me any advice. Not zero advice. She says, well, she's sitting there, the whole time they're talking to you, they're not examining you, they're typing in the computer. That's all they do is they collect information about you. It's not like the old days where a doctor don't even touch you anymore. She says to me, okay, just for the record, I'm recommending you take a statin. I know you don't want one. Okay, I got to put it in the record. I'm required or I'll lose my job. Your cholesterol is very high. But I don't see, she says she grudgingly admits, but you're healthy. And you lost weight, you look good, and your skin cleared up, and you joined. Remember that rheumatoid arthritis that you had a few years ago? You couldn't hardly walk. That all went away. Obviously, you're doing something right. But I work for the man. I work for the system, and I want to keep my job. So I have to type in all these notes that I recommended all these things, even though you refused. And I'm covered and you're covered. And I say goodbye to her. But I don't have a doctor. I don't want a doctor. Sorry. I don't need a doctor right now. Why would I include one in my life that I had to pay for? I take no prescription drugs. I don't have dollars worth of prescriptions. I get my insurance company and Medicare statement. Here's your prescription drug costs for the past quarter. Zero. I'm a carnivore. Sometimes I have to kick myself in the ass to realize just not only what an accomplishment that is, and how proud I should be that I toughed my way through all this propaganda like a machete in the jungle, separated all the bullshit from reality, climbed out of the traps that I kept falling in, and they're out there, and come on here every day to try and tell my story with the caveat that this is my story. Your results may be different. And hope that somebody gets the message. Evidently, I got 140 people here now. Somebody's listening to me, either because I'm making a great fool of myself and very entertaining, or I'm saying something that may be resonating. And that's how you know you're doing good. That's how you know you're doing good. When you get signs that the people that are watching you, it's what you're saying, they're identifying with. They're identifying with. Because people like to hear things that they believe are true and they know are true. So I may have a very small audience here of 142 people. I may not have the 3,000 or 4,000 people that go to Ken Berry and Nisha's live stream on Monday night. I may not have the 6,000 or 8,000 or 10,000 people that are in his private community. I got 143 people here. But I'll say, if I had to take a survey, I'd say that the percentage of people in my 142 that are benefiting from carnivore, have common sense, and are successful at it is astronomical compared to the percentage of that huge audience that most everybody else has. Because there's a reason why you guys stick with me, evidently, is because you've proven to yourselves that I'm not leading you astray, that I'm not trying to be a tough taskmaster. I just talk in reality, and I have a basis for that reality because I study where it all came from, and I have all my life. So I so appreciate your loyalty. I so appreciate your loyalty. And Spiritual Nomad, good morning, everyone. Watch the replay. This was a good one, I think. I think it was a good one. Let me scroll back here on this chat now real quick and look for, I know Peter's still there. Yeah, Peter's still there. Mitch has helped me much more than any former army of doctors and psychiatrists I had, who just prescribed more and more pills and shots. Thank you, Peter. Thank you. I'm just fine where I am, 90% carnivore. I don't want or need to go. If you're doing good as a keto and you can continue to stay healthy and lose weight and not binge and not fall off the wagon, I envy you. I envy you, my friend. I envy you that. Because I don't think a small amount of plants or any of this other stuff, even sugar, even seed oils, is going to kill you. I mean, people live to be 90, 100 who eat the standard American diet. Dilo says, coffee is how I get some soluble fiber. You don't need soluble fiber. Pox on the fiber. Pox on the fiber. Where's it written that we need to eat wood or any fiber? Most fiber is cellulose. Well, everybody's telling us history in the chat. Everybody's got their opinion. Everybody is brainwashed one or another, including you and me. You can't live in this world without getting your information from somewhere. Most of it we didn't think up ourselves. In fact, I'm very proud of the fact that most of what I think I know, I thought up myself. And if you don't think so, get a hold of my book that I wrote 20-some years ago and read it. You'll see how this crazy mind works. I don't listen to people. I don't go to school. I don't read other people's books. I don't let people teach me a damn thing. I figured it out myself. I always have been. And demand real evidence for everything that I believe. And so much of what I think about and so much of what I believe is just logic, common sense, and the fact, when you try to figure out how something happened, that you can finally arrive to the conclusion, it had to have been like that. It could not have, it wouldn't be today like it is if it didn't happen like that. Fill in the blank about how many years ago. And that's the way you figure out. And you keep eliminating possibilities until you come to a conclusion that it must have, even though we have no proof, for example. We have no proof. Take the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs 66 million years ago. Up until 100 years ago, we had no idea that happened, and up until 20 or 30 years ago, we had no actual proof. Now it's a certainty, because our science has allowed us to take the evidence and extract real information. And now we have come to the conclusion, basically, it could not have happened any other way. But we didn't know that 30 years ago, 40 years ago. It was just a theory. And 100 years ago, there were many theories. And before that, they didn't even know what a dinosaur was. Do you suppose the people in the 4th century AD knew what dinosaurs were or that they even existed? No. So you start thinking like that, and you can put 2 and 2 together and tell a story. I'm looking for Peter highlighting my name. So I didn't think of you two areas. Jerry just asked you a question. See, it works. See, it does work. Jerry, where is the question? Jerry is in the middle of a forest. Question. There it is. See, that works. That's not a bad way of doing things. What is your fat of choice? Butter, beef trimmings. I don't have a fat of choice. I don't go out of my way to add fat to anything. I just don't. I kind of, with the way I've settled into eating, the foods that I've settled into have fat built in, which is, I think, makes sense, as that's the way it's supposed to be. Because up until, again, very recently, nobody ever worried about macros. I don't count macros. I don't give a shit. Eggs. You want fat? Eat eggs. I eat 5-6 eggs a day now. I think that's all you need. Eggs are nature's vitamin pill. Everything in there you need is in an egg. Every amino acid, every vitamin, every mineral, every electrolyte. As long as the chicken was fed a somewhat decent diet. So maybe there might be a few things missing, and you might need to supplement like you do with beef, but by and large. And eggs got 50% fat in the yolk. So what do we do in our wisdom? We say, make egg white omelets. Oh my God. So I get an adequate amount of fat, because 50% by weight is a lot of fat. And we're talking about 50% by weight. So 50% by weight, and since I hate to use the word calories, but the way we talk about it, that puts it way over the threshold of enough fat. So I get plenty. I might even get enough fat for an entire day from those 5 or 6 eggs. And if that's not enough, I eat a lot of bacon. Because bacon contains a lot of fat. And I try to eat fattier meats. And you can tell when a meat is a fatty meat It's a very simple test I have. I call it the Mitch paper towel test. Exactly how many paper towels do you go through while you're eating this food? And chicken thighs score high on the paper towel test. Ribs, pork ribs, very, very high on the paper towel test. Filet mignon, not so much. Not so much. So I don't even think about fat, which I think is a plus for the philosophy to the less complicated you make it and the more natural the foods are, in their normal natural state, like an egg or a chicken thigh, doesn't have to be processed. An egg certainly can't be processed. Nothing we can do can adulterate what's inside of the egg before you get it. So that's how I keep it simple. Now here's the thing, did I used to be able to eat that way? No, I was a connoisseur. I was trying to be a chef, a gourmet. I had a restaurant. I owned a restaurant. I played in the kitchen. I was always fiddling with recipes. It was an obsession. Food was an obsession for me. Always trying to tastier and better things. And everything I did revolved around food. And at the same time, I'm trying to be healthy and trying to be low carb. So I was always trying to figure out ways to make low carb food more like high carb food. But it always ended up derailing me. So 15 times in my life, I would gain 50 pounds, lose 50 pounds, gain 50 pounds, lose 50 pounds. How do you think I learned about the pitfalls and about the control that addiction has on us? You don't have to slap me in the face 15 times before I finally figure it out that it hurts. I think 13 or 14 times is totally adequate. And that's the story of my life. And that's when I started really getting serious, and I started keto. But the keto still let me have enough carbs where my subconscious mind kept talking me into addictive things, and eventually, in months or two, I couldn't take the cravings. It wouldn't leave me alone. So while I'm thinking about, wow, I'm strong now, I can eat just a little cup of blueberries, the reality was, once that 3-pound bag from Sam's Club of frozen blueberries got cracked open, it was gone. And there was nothing I could do or no control I could exert that would ever stop that. The minute I got in the car at 3 in the morning to drive to Walgreens, 24-hour drugstore, to buy ice cream, it was gone. It'd never get back to the freezer again. If it got back to the freezer, because I ate so much of it, like 3/4 of a gallon, that I couldn't move, within 20 minutes later, I knew that I'd be on my way back to the freezer again. I got to the point with that ice cream where I got to the point where I had to, when I got down to where I said, okay, I had enough ice cream, I was so ashamed. The guilt, the regret of how I had just sabotaged all that hard work I've been doing was so overwhelming. I got so pissed off at myself. Any of you ever been there? I bet money you have. Got so pissed off at myself, I turned on the hot water in the sink, and whatever was left of that half-gallon of ice cream, I filled full of hot water, poured it down the drain, and got rid of it, because I knew if I put it back in the freezer, I'd finish it. It took usually about a half an hour, like Chinese food. You're always hungry an hour later. Well, when you load up on carbs, you have not satisfied your appetite. You basically just sugar poisoned yourself, and it doesn't take too long before enough of that goes away where you're back in the sugar again. That's an evolutionary survival behavior that we cannot shake. We can only make it fade away by abstinence over a long period of time, and that's why abstinence is the only way to put a craving into remission, because you're still an addict. Once you're an addict, you cannot start using cocaine, alcohol, or anything else that's addictive. Get addicted to it. Give your body a taste of it. Let your body become dependent on it. Then do all the things that you need to do to put it in remission, and not expect it to be gone completely, and that you can go back to the old ways. No, sorry. It's like herpes. Once you get it, it may be dormant, but it's always there. You never get rid of it. So that's addiction. We need to talk more about it. We don't want to hear about it, though. We don't want to hear about it. We want to hear about how to make carnivore brownies. Got some coffees here. Let me thank some people. I'm on a roll today, guys. I don't know if I'm accomplishing anything. I hope I'm making some points. Got a nice audience hanging in there with me, so that's my clue. Francine B. Thanks for keeping us on track. Thank you, Francine. Thank you for continuing to stick with me on the train. I appreciate that. And again, Annette, AKB, that's AP in the chat, and that is AP. Thank you so much for the coffee today. Okay, I answered that question from Jerry. I answered that question, and what is your fat of choice? Funny thing. I mean, finish up on that. That's where I was, Jerry. I don't. I'm not a dairy person. I don't like dairy. I never did. Not as a kid. Didn't drink milk. Never buttered a piece of bread in my life. I hated butter. I don't know why. I'm a quirky person. I always have been. My mother used to say, "You're such a fussy eater." Yeah, just give me sugar, Mom. That's your fault. You're the one that has a house full of cookies all the time. I see Amy's here. How you doing, Amy? How you doing? And Juliet is here. Jerry Voitush, great job on the mortgage. Thank you so much. This is really all over the place today. Let me see if Peter pointed out any more questions. Kilt says, I'm addicted to Mitch. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that message. I'm going to pin it at the top of the chat. I'm so proud of that. And I must be addicted to kilts, because first thing I do every morning is watch his channel. Yep. And I'm a member of the Kilts Mighty Tribe, and I participate in the Monday night Zoom calls. I'm usually right there. And I have nothing but praise for the man and the work he's doing. Even though I had to slap him a little bit this morning. Sometimes you got to slap the people you love a little bit. And I may be wrong, too. They may be wrong. I keep saying it. It's just me. This is my opinion. I see we're talking about Kip. It's a tragedy. And Mitch, please clip that epic rant and post it as a standalone video. Yeah, I keep talking about doing that, but sometimes I don't know. Yeah, that was a good one. But the replays of this are here. We'll see. I got a whole list of clips that I was told to make a standalone video, but okay, I got back about as far as the chat's going to let me. 7:35. Oh, my phone is ringing. You're live with Mitch.
I am really pissed at you.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
I'm upset, and I'm not talking to you ever again. So don't even call me your friend. You got it?
Okay. All right, my friend. I love, I love you. I love you too.
I love you, brother. Thank you for what you're doing. Tell everyone alive that I love you. And I just, it's so much fun. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so
Right?
much.
You're still on the live with everyone?
Yeah, I am. We're here. I'm talking to them. I'm holding the phone up with your name on it right in front of this.
All right. Tell them I love them. And I'm not talking to you ever again. And I'll maybe see you tomorrow.
Okay, man. Listen, have a great time over there. Have a great time. In fact, have 2 great times. Have one for me while you're at it, okay?
I'm going to do it.
All right.
All right, man.
Take care, buddy.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, there's something you don't see every day. Oh, man. Yeah, we have become great friends, honestly, God. That's great. That's great. Just great. Because I had to say this today. I had to do this. I had to point this out. It really hit me this morning. I couldn't even watch it anymore, listening to, and I love George Goodenough, but talking about all that. For mushrooms, for God's sakes, you can live without mushrooms. So what's driving you to go to these lengths to figure out ways to get some of this stuff back in your diet? You don't need it for the nutrition. You don't need it for anything. It's got nothing to do with pleasure and variety. And that's where we got in trouble in the first place. Pleasure and variety. Once you get used to living without the pleasure and variety of food, it becomes just fuel. You still enjoy eating. It still satisfies you, but it's in a different way. You're not feeding your addiction anymore. You're feeding your body. Why would you want to go back from that if you finally achieved it? Every animal on the planet has achieved it. They live great, healthy lives. Why the hell can't we humans achieve it? Because we have money. And somebody's trying to always figure out a way to separate us from that money. And what better way than to appeal to addictions? Natural things that make you feel good and bring pleasure that we can sell to you. It's crazy. And that's the reality of it. And it's so simple. And we make it so complicated. So complicated. I saw that I had, oh wow, way down at the bottom of the chat. Let me scroll way down here real quick. I'll take a real quick ride. I saw that I had a super chat. Yes, Barry Simon. Abstinence man. That would make me a priest. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Barry. Wow, it's 8:22 already. Jim. That's funny. Oh, now he has a phone-in show. Well, Rick has a phone-in show. Why not me? I could do that. I could hook a phone line to my mixer and bring it right in. Bring it right in. You're on with Mitch. Caller. I have better than a phone-in show. On Sunday morning, I have a bring your face in show. Anybody who wants to can come into that. Although a lot of people don't have the technology or don't feel comfortable coming on camera and might call in. But the problem that I would have is that some people you just can't, once you get going, like me. You know, I called into somebody's show. The biggest problem I would post for them is how are they going to get rid of me? Because you keep going and you get in awkward situations like that. Let me quick run through here. I think I got all the questions if there were any. I'm very happy with today's little episode. I hope I got some good points across. I hope we can stop. We ought to title these videos, instead of saying, do I need to add carbs? Because that's how they bill them all. It's all got to get your interest. So it's, and I'm guilty of it too. Do I need to add carbs to my carnivore diet? We ought to rephrase how we put that on thumbnails and in titles. We ought to say, why the F would I want to sabotage 3 years of hard work on my carnivore diet? Might be a better, more realistic way to phrase that question. And for all of those scientists out there who tell me that if I don't start adding some fruits and vegetables back into my diet, that I'm going to be shortening my lifespan, I will tell you that I've reserved some time for you in my calendar. I've set aside, told my secretary, set aside a block of time for me to discuss this topic with these people who think that I'm killing myself by not eating fruit and honey or broccoli. Tell them that in the year 2045, on my birthday, May the 7th, at 2 a.m. in the morning, I've reserved an hour for them to come and talk to me about that. It'll be my 98th birthday, and we'll have the discussion then. But for now, I'm staying carnivore. I'm going to stop this stuff, this trap that I keep finding myself. Tell me more. Because my addiction keeps, going, oh, I like that. That sounds good. Blueberries. Yeah, we like blueberries. You'd think by now I'd have learned my lesson. I have. I'll probably fall for it again. That's the thing about addiction. It doesn't give up. It doesn't take you to defeat. It doesn't say, all right, I'll leave him alone now. It's got its radar going 24/7. Always looking for that opportunity. Poof. Oh, he's thinking about blueberries. Let's give him a little push. Maybe we'll get some more. But that's reality. It's just reality. Guilty, if you're still listening, thanks so much for calling, man. That was an unexpected thrill, and I knew that you would understand where I was coming from and not finding fault in any way. I have the same tendencies. Didn't I just make videos that can be taken as, oh, Mitch is saying why it's okay to do this stuff. We that happens to us. And it's not our fault. We are conditioned, like sheep, by a lifetime of equating all the good stuff with the bad food and the bad stuff with the good food. Your parents never had to yell at you, eat your candy bar, Johnny. Never had to yell at you for that. And we've been conditioned our whole life. And we're bucking that. And that takes courage and guts, my friends. So, I'm going to play a little happy music after all that. I think this was an epic live stream today. Wow. I may have to go over this and see if some of this, see if my friend, thank you, Barry Simon, for that. Barry did that. That's great. I love it. And see if we can't put out a couple of short video clips from that. So I don't have any video set to release yet today. I have a live stream tonight. I figure having me out there twice a day is more than the human race can probably tolerate. So I don't generally release a video on Thursday anyway. But maybe I'll come up with a clip from this morning, release it tomorrow or two. Thanks for coming, everybody. CB, Carmack's waving. Peter says bye. Main runner. Hi, Donna Ray. See you soon, Aaron. Thanks, Brian. Good day, all. Oh, I know what I did. I missed one thing. Whoop. Stop the music. I wanted to mention this comment that I got on my walking video, and now I know why I got off on that tangent. I got a comment. I think it was on the walking video. Anyway, some woman used Kiltsy as an example to make a point to me. And honest to God, I removed the comment. I don't know if I had these, but I get these comments on my videos now. I don't even bother. If it's something I wouldn't say thank you to or want to answer, I just remove it. If your comments get removed from my videos, either YouTube did it or I did it, but it was just something that I thought was stupid. And if I didn't answer it somehow or give it a heart, it would stay there forever, and I need to get rid of it, so I just removed it. And it said, you should use Dr. Kiltz as an example. This is what happens, and this is where I got started thinking about the fact that that stuff, I even understand why Kiltzy's talking about it, but look how people misunderstand what he's saying. The people out there are getting the idea that Kiltz is not a carnivore anymore. That he woke up to the fact and realized that carnivore was killing him, and he stopped. And that's why he's talking about eating all these other foods. Now, I know that's not true. He knows that. Most of you know that's not true. But how many people got that misconception? Well, she writes to me, you see, take a lesson from Dr. Kiltz. He found out his CAC score went up, and he changed his diet, and if you don't change yours, you're going to suffer the consequences. Honest to God, I got that comment. I got it this morning, read it this morning, and then I turn on Kiltz and I see this stuff and I say, no wonder people are getting the impression that you're abandoning carnivore, which is not. No matter how many times you say, well, you can do this once a month or even once in a while, people don't hear that. Their addiction doesn't let them hear that. What their addiction hears is, Robert Kiltz says it's okay. We have to be so careful. They call us influencers. What we forget sometimes is the words that come out of our mouths sometimes do influence people. What a concept. And that was a point I wanted to make this morning. And sorry I interrupted the happy music for it, but it's important. It's an important point. Important point. People hear what they want to hear, no matter how you say it. It comes out exactly proving what they want to be true, not even if it doesn't resemble the point that you were trying to make. Now, we'll play some happy music. It's 8:30. Everybody's still waving. I'm going to watch it a second time, says Main Rudder. Yeah. Mitch, loved your walking video. Watched it twice. Thank you, Jem. Thank you. Earl Grandma says bye all. And DS1 is rewinding to the ranch. Well, you can pretty well stop anywhere, my friend. You're bound to hit some part of that rant. Mitch is going to have a great day. I am. Great episode again. Thanks, Mitch. Bye all. Appreciate you all coming in here. So, see you tonight, 7 o'clock, private community live stream. Come on in and panel, and we'll rant some more. But in the meantime, take the rest of the day off and eat meat.